Which science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, an illusion?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death? Yeah, so fuck up and die.
Movies. You know what? I think it's funny that last time we were talking about how much we love black and white movies, and then I didn't even plan it, but we ended up watching 2 black and white movies back to back. That's kind of fun. But now
I know, right?
I
It's
feel like
super
I got
fun.
I feel like I got my fix a little bit. You know what I mean? I do still think we should do a month of it in the future, but I'm like, yeah, keep it coming.
yeah.
I wish
No,
next
100%.
week's movie was black and white too, and it's just like all these pool movies are just black and white.
I know. I kind of feel bad for this being a pool movie because once again, it's like the pool scene is like maybe 35 seconds. Of the whole movie, maybe like maybe 3 minutes max.
I saw it
the whole movie,
on
but
I saw it on a
works.
list because that's what's hard. Like I said before, it's hard to find a movie that fits a category that I'm not seeing, especially like a specific category like pool movies. But like, I was like, oh, okay, Last Picture Show. I've heard about this movie. Oh, by the way, this is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. We're watching. I said the name of the movie, so I may as well, right? It's the last. We watched the Last Picture Show. This month has been pool movies. So I saw it on a list of movies with pool scenes, and I was like, oh, okay. And I even searched it. I was like, Last Picture Show pool scene, because I needed to make sure I didn't want to have a bullet situation on our hands. And all I saw was the article where it's just like the controversial pool scene is like what got it banned or something in like some areas, you know what I mean? And like the MPAA.
Of course.
And I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. And so I like threw it on there. I never thought it would win because honestly, this movie, I'd heard about it over the years. I knew what it was. I knew young Jeff Bridges. I didn't know until now that I was like, oh, it's Bogdanovich that did Paper Moon. I was like, dope. And so I'm kind of surprised that it won, but I'm glad it did. You know, I'm glad I was, because it's probably one I wouldn't have watched normally. So
Yeah, it's a movie I've seen before.
You've seen this?
so it was last episode. At the end of the last episode, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see this movie. I haven't seen it before."
Yeah, you started watching it, and you're like, "Oh."
Yes, it was. Yes, it's like, and I didn't. It was when Sonny goes to meet to drive the coach's wife,
Ruth,
the grandma from Malcolm in the Middle.
Holy shit!
I'm pretty sure that's her.
It sounds right. I was wondering.
Or
she
she's she's the grandma from Raising Hope.
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know. She looked familiar to me, but I
she
couldn't
might
place
be-
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say from Raising Hope is what I remember her in, but
They all looked familiar to me because
also-
even like Sonny, I was like, "What's he in?" And then I was like, "Oh, nothing really that I recognize," but he seems so familiar to me. Because he is me. He's the teenage angst inside us all.
she is the mom, and she's Lois's mom from Malcolm in the Middle.
Dope.
Okay. So anyways, when he goes to drive her, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And he like drives her, comes back, and she's like crying at the table, and she's just like, oh, Sonny, you have no idea what's going on, do you?
He's like,
And I
"Thanks
was
for the
like,
Dr.
shit,
Pepper."
I've I've seen this. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I know this movie. I'm like it all like it was so weird how like it felt so familiar, but yet like I was like, what? This is a movie I think I watched probably years ago on just my like. I used to go to the library. We did this all the time. You just go and check out like 10 movies at a time and just watch them back to back, you know? And that was
Yeah, that's when I first heard
How I
about
spent
this
my
movie. It
time.
was back in those days because they're like, "Oh, this is like an old, kind of forgotten classic," you know, like, and because it's like Criterion too. It's the version that I watched, the Criterion
right.
version.
Yeah, same.
So,
And it's
for the
it looks amazing.
it's so good. The look of it, I love it. But so for the folks at home, let's do a quick synopsis, right? Because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen this movie, especially these days. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's an older movie. It's over 50 years old at this point, and it's of a time period that's even older than that. So, help me stumble through it. So, I'm gonna breeze through, right? So, Last Picture Show. Small Texas town, fucking these high school seniors. They're Sonny and his best friend Dwayne. They're terrible football players at the beginning, but
I know, right? Yeah.
they're living in this town. There's like a pool hall, and this guy Sam runs the pool hall. There's a diner and a fucking movie theater, and it's like everyone kind of goes around. It's just like this very small town vibes, and Sonny goes with this girl. They go necking at the movie theater, and Dwayne's got his girlfriend, who's the JC, right? The hottest girl in school that everyone wants.
She's one of the hot high school kids.
And obviously, because this young Jeff Bridges is super hot too. But like, so, it's just teenage stuff. And, Sonny breaks up with his girlfriend because she's just kind of like, they just don't get along. And she's like, you forgot our anniversary. So they break up. And it's just kind of going through. I thought very much it was going to be like a one short period, like very much dazed and confused. But then it like kept going on into eventually.
Right. It's a year basically. So it was structured to be like that. So it takes place from
which is great. I'm glad that it like kept going on,
graduating.
Because it's got a flow. But like eventually Sonny he takes his as Jordan was alluding to earlier, he takes his coach is like, hey, will you drive my wife to her fucking medical appointment for whatever blah 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 reason. So he drives her, and she like opens up to him a little bit, and she's like going through some shit, and so he's got a kindness with her. And then later at the Christmas party, he runs into his dad, and it's like he's very not in the picture, and everyone's at this Christmas party, and Sonny's just kind of like trying to figure out what he's doing with his life and everything, like every coming of age. And Dwayne's mad that his fucking JC won't give it up, but then Sonny ends up kissing Mrs. fucking basketball coach, his wife, Ruth, and they have like a charge thing. He's like 18 and she's like 40, and they go and they end up kind of starting this little affair, on the side, and he's scrumping her on the side, and all the while JC is saying like, she's like, I love you, Dwayne, but her mom is like, you're better than him. You're a hot rich girl, and so
JC's family comes from like, because this
it's an oil town,
an oil rig town, and so it's like it takes place in like rural Texas, and there's like the adjacent bigger town where they go to high school. There's more affluent people there, and so JC's supposed to be marrying, married off and like courting with some of the rich kids.
Yeah, there's a country club that it's like you don't see much of, but she goes with. Which I was like, this guy looks familiar too, and it is Dennis Quaid. Where she goes with Lester.
Dennis Quaid.
She's like, kind of goes with him to see, because he's like, hey, all us country club kids are gonna have a cool, wild, skinny dipping pool party. And so she makes up some excuse and goes with him and ditches Dwayne, and he's all butthurt about it. Goes to this naked pool party, and everyone's all nude with their bush and tits out and everything. And she's trying to figure out what she wants in life. Meanwhile, see, it's like there's like so much just small town melodrama. I'm like trying to remember.
It is,
but
100%, because it's like the time period doesn't really matter. It's kind of just like it kind of meanders through the town.
Yeah, it's like 1952, and it's like there's this young kid like, Billy, which I don't know if it says for sure, but it's implied as his younger brother, or just like a kid that follows him around. It's played by his younger brother, I'm pretty sure. I saw in the credits. But...
in real life, yes, it is.
So, I mean, that's the vibe I got. And it's like, obviously, Sonny's parents are in the picture. So, Sam, he's the pool hall guy. Oh, yeah, I remember what happens. After the Christmas party, they are getting all like, oh, fuck, we got to go get some pussy. And they talk about fucking a pig or whatever, because I guess that's what you do in Texas in the 50s. And but they decide to go take Billy, who's like the slow kid that never talks. He's like the mentally handicapped kid. They take him to like, fuck some random chick that would do it for $1.50, and he gets humiliated. And Sam is like the local father figure. He like shames them and says, you can't come into my theater, because he's like the property owner of the main ones. And Sonny feels bad because we find out kind of later that Sam is like his father figure, because obviously he's estranged with his real dad, is like his father figure to him and all this, and there's all these connections. You find out later that Sam had like past relationships with JC's mom, and they have like a connection, which is Ellen Bernstein, which is fucking blowing my mind.
It's all generational too.
Yeah, and then
So he likes the kids. Sam like, you know, he can see the good in the kids. They're young scrappers. He bans them, but then yeah, so Sonny makes amends and is like, hey, you know, sorry. And the woman who works at the diner, she's also super sympathetic, but kind of just like stuck in that town too.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of angst through everyone, kind of just stuck in the life that they live.
Small town vibes where it's like these small towns are fucking black holes for these people. Like
right.
Well, it's everything they know and love, but it's just like you like they say, like you either get out or you die there. You know what I mean? They do say that a couple times. He's like,
but it's so after they're falling out, it kind of like, yeah, they go through and they graduate high school, and then Sonny and Dwayne, they're like, they want to go off and like they want to get some tail, get some action, and they want to go to Mexico.
Yeah, they
and
say
it's like
spontaneously fuck it, go
Yeah.
to Mexico.
And and they're really close to Mexico, so it's kind of just one of those like normal kind of trips you would do.
Weekend
Like,
trip.
even if you're like from LA or something.
Yeah.
You just like you shoot right down across the border, especially this time period, super easy to go there. But anyways, he goes, and right before they leave, Sam like stops them and is like, you know, hey kids, go on, be safe. Here's $20, you know, for me, like for insurance, you know, and just like you can tell he likes the kids. And when they get back after Sam's dead, they find out that like the one street light town, you know, it's empty because Sam pretty much owned the strip of entertainment on there. And so everything's closed.
And Sam left the fucking pool hall to Sonny because it's like, you know, he's like his surrogate son, and it obviously hits Sonny like a ton of bricks, and he's going to Ruth for comfort, and she's finding comfort in him. And, you know, eventually fucking I try to remember all the beats because it's like, you know, eventually it kind of, you know, comes ahead and Dwayne gets dumped and he's all butthurt, so he fucks off.
And he joins the Roughnecks. He becomes an oilman.
Yeah.
For a minute, for just a hot minute, and then Sonny just kind of chills out, and then freaking JC or whatever, she gets like jealous or something, or something happens where she wants Sonny's attention.
Yeah.
And so she goes and like manipulates Sonny, and I think it's to like screw with her mom.
It is.
And
It's
Sonny's
100% for attention, dude. Like she can't figure out what she wants.
She's such a like
she's
sympathetic character, but
she's searching also sexually because she basically like allows herself to get fucked by her dad's friend. She is like, her mom is like planning these ideas about like, hey, you gotta like bang some dudes and kind of figure it out. And
right, yeah, because virginity, like being a virgin, is kind of like frowned upon at that age. They're old enough now where they should be getting married after high school.
Right.
That's the old way, and so they're feeling that social pressure. And so, you know, Jace convinces Sonny to elope, so they run away and they try to elope, but she's doing it all to get a rise out of her family. She knows that her family will be upset, so like her dad puts like a BBP out or whatever, like missing persons thing, and so cops in adjacent town find them, bring them back, and then it kind of just dissolves. Like she's basically just like, this was just a lark, and
it gets annulled.
And during that, Sonny stood up Ruth, and so Ruth was kind of like heartbroken, and then that Sonny and Ruth, they have their little moment together where he comes over to see her, and she's like I can't believe I like fucking fell in love with you. This was like so depressing for me, you know, and Sonny's such a good actor in this, and like
so good.
He's so just kind of like I'm sorry, man. You know, I'm sorry, I'm a kid, I'm dumb, and like, you know, there's not like it's gonna work between us anyways.
Right. That's the last scene in the movie, and the only two other important scenes before that is Dwayne and Sonny get in a fight because of JC, right? And Sonny's like, I could like her too, you know, and it's like, fuck you, you don't own her and all this. And he smashes a bottle and he like cuts his eye, and so he's got like his eyes kind of fucked up.
Sure.
But then like, you know, and so they have kind of their falling out, but then Dwayne joins the army and goes to Korea.
Yes.
And then
Dwayne, I feel like that causes Dwayne to go to Korea. He feels bad that he, you know.
And then Billy, the last thing, fucking Billy gets hit by a truck in the street.
Oh yeah, of course, right. And that, God, and it's so unceremonious,
it's so
but like,
sad,
but it works. But it works so well, and it's so interesting to see the town react to it, because like the kid gets hit and like it's just some trucker driving through, you know, he's delivery guy or something, and he's like, well, that boy was in the street. I don't know what he was doing. Just what was he doing? And they're all deliberate, you know, oh my gosh, deliberated. What is that word? But anyways, they're all like discussing what to do, and like they're kind of just like, it's no one's fault, whatever. You know,
it happens. He was in the road, you know.
Because Billy's kind of Billy is the son, I believe, of the preacher who is kind of mad. He's like an isolated preacher guy that just like no one like. It's cool how this town doesn't really have like solid fundamental religion involved. It's just kind of like on the peripheral.
And the one preacher's son kidnaps that girl, which is not like a huge plot point or anything, but he kidnaps that girl, and they're like,
I thought that was Bill. that was Bill.
No, that's that kid that was getting picked on the whole movie. Like every scene he was getting picked on. So Billy,
I see. Okay.
Billy's got the classic fucking striped hat with like the spinner on it, basically. It doesn't.
Well, right.
May as well.
He's got that little cap. That's right. Oh, okay. So that was confusing a little bit. I see. So that's such a like small subplot of just to kind of show the town a little
just chill, small town
Billy,
dramas, you know.
Billy Billy gets hit and dies, and it's like that's like Sonny kind of just realizes that like, oh man, this like town kind of eats you up, and then he just he's going to continue living his life.
Just gonna he's working on the oil field now, so he can keep the pool hall open, and
so he can keep the pool hall open. Yep, that's kind of what he's going to do.
Sam, it's sad because like Sam fucking gave him the pool hall as like a sign of love, but he didn't know what a burden he was shouldering him with, because that was just like an anchor to hold him down now. Because it's like if he didn't have the pool hall, Sonny might have left, you know. Like after everything, you know, JC's gone, Dwayne's gone, Billy's gone. Like he might have left, but it's like he's got the pool hall and he's got a, I don't know, man. It's like, it's so sad.
Well, dude, and it shows like, it just shows like how these like small towns just kind of dry up like that. Like it just, it has to be like one person who's holding on to this one place, because it's cool. Like the Last Picture Show, they show the last movie because Sam left the movie to the old woman who ran it before, and she just isn't healthy enough to run it anymore, and so they play their last show, and I think it's like Red River, I think, or something. It's
some old John Wayne Western,
and it's just it's just such a fitting like.
Well, and it's like Dwayne is like about to leave to Korea.
Yeah.
It's sad, dude, because it's just like he just stands and watches him leave on the bus, and he's just there. He goes to the pool hall. And then that's when Billy gets fucking creamed, and he's just like, because he's like, the dude who plays Sonny is so good, dude, because it's like, he's like very subdued a lot of the time. He's like trying to figure things out and like kind of controls emotions. But it's just like the one time he actually like cracks is just like he yells at those guys about Billy and like drags his body off, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, it's emotional, dude. It was getting me, because it's like, I wasn't that attached to Billy per se, but like, having that be like the final kind of tragedy. Well, the final tragedy is he's stuck in this town and Ruth doesn't love him, but she's kind of like, she kind of is like, all right, they're there. Like at the end, because she's the adult and he's the little boy, essentially. Which that's
it's
kind just of so, dude. It's just like devastating. But very quietly devastating of a movie, because it's like on the outside you're not like, oh, this movie crushes me, but you're just like, after it ends, you're just like, oh god, yeah.
The whole time it's like a numbing nostalgia that you get from it. Like you feel so connected, and it feels so real. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it really is like, it's kind of like, you know, that it feels so true. It feels like a documentary almost. Like I felt so connected to this like reality that's out there, and it like, I love it. It's beautiful. It's like it's quintessential 1970s filmmaking. Like it does not glorify anything.
Well,
and so it's just like, it's beautiful. That's what I love about it. This was the first time you saw it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Then fundamentally the first time I saw it too, essentially, because it's like I don't really remember the themes. I just kind of like, I remember the mood, and the mood is going to stick with me forever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It has such a good, like, it's just like, it's slow enough, but yet like never stops, and so that makes me happy. Like,
I've been thinking about it all day since I watched it last night, and it's like just thinking about Sonny just like fucking flooring his truck, but then he hits the city limits and he just stops and turns around, man. Like it's just like it's a black hole, dude. It just sucks him in. He can't, like, it's just like that's all he knows, and it's sad because it's just like he doesn't like he has potential, but then it's just like he's too far gone for his capacity to change. And it's just like, because he's literally like, JC's mom starts giving him some whiskey after they like, the wedding kind of falls apart and all that. And he's literally, it's like a heartbreaking line, but it's like kind of lighthearted when he says it, but he's like, I think I could learn how to drink. And I'm like, oh, dude, he is. He's just going to fucking become an alcoholic for sure.
Well,
at his pool hall, as he slowly slips into middle age, man. Like,
I mean, JC's mom is there, and it's crazy how you can see it. Like, it is truly generational. Like everyone who is in that town, they just that's what they do. Like literally the next step is to work in industry, and so he's just working the rigs. He's gonna do that, and he's gonna get older, and he's gonna become that really, really disgusting, quote unquote friend, that the person that JC's mom is banging on the side. The fact I really want to read this book because apparently it's like semi-autobiographical
book or whatever. Yeah.
Well, and it gets a lot deeper. Like each character, it goes into their backstories a lot more.
It feels like this movie really feels like a sprawling American novel of just like this small town, because it is like an ensemble cast. Like, Sonny and Dwayne and JC are like the leads, and Sonny's the main lead probably, right? But like, it's like, it's about this town and this drama and like the interconnections of their relationships and it feels like an American, like epic in that way. Like I would love to read the book, and I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. Maybe it's good, but apparently there's a sequel, that came out like 20 years later, and it has Jeff Bridges and like some of the main cast still. So it might explain like what happens to them later. It looks like,
whoa! I
saw the poster. I was like, whoa, it's like called Texasville, and it came out like 1990. And it's got Jeff Bridges and the JC, and they're like on the cover, and it looks like a rom-com, the two of them. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this. I definitely don't want to watch this.
Oh, because I wonder who did it.
I think it's still him. Yeah, it's Peter Bogdanovich or whatever. So who knows? I'm pretty sure.
100% down.
He wrote it though, not the. So I don't know. Like, we'll see, because I am curious, but I don't think Sonny's in it. So I'm like, is he dead? But I'm like, I don't want to know. Almost like I kind of like where it ends, like in this like I don't want the answers, because it's kind of perfect in its ambiguity, because it's so true to life, where it's just like people just move away, and it's like JC. Yeah. Like there's no like epic goodbye scene. It's just literally like they're talking about JC, and like Dwayne and Sonny have their goodbye moment, but they're just like, yeah, she just lives in fucking Houston now, and she never comes around anymore. And it's like, well, shit. And he's like, do you think you guys would have made it if I wouldn't have gotten in the middle of there? And he's like, nah, they would have we would have gotten annulled too, like
no, dude, that's the one thing I love. So God, the relationship between them is so perfect. Like this movie does it has such a realism to it, and it's weird. It blends that perfectly, where like I'm watching a movie, and I'm very aware that it's a film, because there's such like beautiful movement in all the shots, but it's so subtle.
Yeah.
But then there's times where I'm like, holy shit, this feels like a Ken Burns documentary, where like there's times where I'm like, is this a movie, or are they just talking? And a lot of it's improv. Well, okay, a lot of it is. I was watching a documentary about it, and like, it's either 100% written from the book, and like the scene and the dialogue and like all the like direction and everything is like from the book, or they're like, oh, if this isn't working on the day, they would rewrite it. And Peter would be like, he'd be like telling this writer to be like, hey, let's write this scene, and they'd write it, and he goes, no, I like it in the book more, and the writer would always be like, well, then use the book the whole time.
I know, like, God damn it.
That was something on set they kept bickering about. Is like, he's like, oh, if you don't like my writing, then use the book. Like, if you like the book more. And so like it'd be cool to, I wonder if in the commentary or anything they have that to like differentiate between when they used a writer and when they used the book. But the scene between the dad and Sonny, like his real father, that's all Peter wrote that, and that like is 100% not in the book. It's just like, and I think it like that's what proves this movie to like it's gonna hold in my mind better now, like that I've studied it, I guess, essentially, because it's like that scene, I'm like, oh my god, that is. And I feel like I wasn't old enough to really understand and appreciate
No,
this movie.
yeah.
Even though this movie is about high school kids like that,
Yeah.
this is a coming of age film, 100%.
100%,
targeted to that. But it's like it's too. This literally you need 10 years after high school to really understand.
You do
the
to kind
severity of this movie.
Yeah,
dude.
you do, because like that scene of him running to his dad, like at the Christmas party, the town hall Christmas party, or whatever. Him running into his dad is just, it's such a short scene. It's so small, but it's like, it says so much about Sonny, his family dynamic. And they're just like, hey, his dad's excited to see him. And he's like awkward. And he's like, well, see ya. And that's it. Cause I was literally like, where's his parents? Like, what's his deal? Cause it's like, you don't really ever see him. Like you see Dwayne's mom at the end, sort of, or one of his relatives. And it's like, JC's parents are the only ones that are like involved, but it's cause they're like these like rich, you know, he's like an oil baron and she's like some trophy wife that literally is like, you got to get in there and you got to fucking control your man. You know what I mean? Like she's the one like dripping all the shit in her head.
And she's so tragic because she's like you just have to find someone who will take care of you and that's it. You know, that's like, and even if you're miserable, it doesn't matter. You can just fuck a dude on the side, and that's kind of how it works. It's like it's kind of the agreement with everybody in the town. You know, like, and it's like, to all varying degrees, people are okay with it in the town. It's kind of wild because I love how the whole town knew that Sonny was with Ruth, you know, the older woman. Like they just kind of all were like, oh yeah, you were going with her for a little while there, right?
Like, and that's wild, like such a perfect capture of a small town thing where it's like everyone knows everyone's shit, but no one's saying it out loud. Because literally they bring it up again to him at the end, and he's like, does everyone know about that? Like, what the hell? And it's just such like it's just a casual thing too. It's not like. That's what's so interesting. It's like all this stuff that's happening to them with Ruth, with like their fucking relationship with JC, discovering like her sexuality and all that. It's like, it's all very like just like, it just kind of happens. It feels very true to life. Like nothing feels like, oh, this is a movie and this is the scandal and this is the affair. It's like, it just all feels so natural. And I think that's why you're saying it's like got that like, almost documentary vibe. It's just because it's like time just keeps marching on, man, and it's like people are just trying to get through it and they're all trying to figure out what they're about. And you know, Dwayne can't get it up and after all his talk when he finally gets the chance, and it's just like, I know, right? And like, and it's kind of like, it's weird because I've critiqued other films for having this like kind of like subtlety, and I like, it's weird. I don't know why this one works so well. I feel like everything that happens in this movie, I'm like, oh, it's so plain. I think that's what it is, but like in such a good way. I mean, I think that's why we like First Cow so much, because it's just about a relationship, and then it's just kind of showing life going, and nothing escalates, but there is drama. It's like there are stakes. Yeah,
Clearly,
it's borderline melodramatic with the town drama, but it's not posed in a way where it's like this giant critical 3-act structure type, like this is the climax, you know. It's like, it's very much like this is just it, you know what I mean? But yeah,
I mean, and Ruth has her like every time a character does get like they get their like moment, their monologue, or their, you know, their punctuated time to like act, to actually be in a movie, you know, where it's a movie, it's done really well. And so I'm like, oh yeah, like when Ruth's outburst at the end is like,
it's so
good, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I kind of forget for a minute, like, oh, I'm watching a movie now, and like it's now, you know, this is their scene, and like it's really cool. And like, I have to say though, the lighting on this is impeccable. The lighting for this film blew my goddamn fucking mind. It was dark. It was dark when it needed to be. Well, and like after she has sex, like JC has sex with him, you know, and she's in the room and they come in and she's just like lit and glowing, and she's like, I can't
put it in words, you know, like,
yeah, dude, and that and her, like, she's lying, she already has it down, and she's so sad. And then when, like, but it's cool because she does have like kind of her own it's like, that's what happens, is like this movie does a really good job at showing like the maturity, and like kind of, it's like she like gets it, and then when she goes with that guy and she thinks like, oh, this is what I need to be an adult now, I'm gonna go with this man who will have sex with me, and he's like, you know, in his 40s, and she just thinks like, here I am. Like it's, and then that's after it happens, you see how like kind of like broken, like she's like, oh fuck, this is like, I regret this, but yet it's something I like had to do.
And he's
to
just
find
like,
out.
get
And
out
then-
of the car now, and just like drops her and drives off,
No,
you know, and she's just like,
and like she's still trying to be like high school, like she's like trying to talk to him and be like, hey, you know, thinking like there's gonna be something, like there's an emotional attachment to it, and like it's not, and it didn't. Like she breaks down with her mom, and then her mom is so passive and just, you know, just kind of like, it's your fault.
that's
basically.
such a good moment
my
too,
God.
when she comes in and she's like just like ruffled, and her mom just like, they just look at each other, and then like literally Ellen Bernstein, right, which is incredible, JC's mom, which young her, because you know obviously she's great in like Requiem for a Dream and stuff, but she like just gives her the look like, oh sweetie, like just that look, and then she just fucking breaks down crying. Like it just like, just that one look from her mom just like destroys her. And it's just such a simple thing, and it just like, it just shows their relationship so well. There's so many things in this movie that is perfect show don't tell type storytelling, that says so many small scenes that say so much about the characters, because it's like they always say, like you were saying, it's like same like we were saying with First Cow, where it's like,
I know, yeah.
you know, complex character, simple story. Like it's a simple small town story essentially. Like, you know, obviously there's like a lot of little dramas and stuff, but it's the characters that are the woven webs that like hold this town together. And it's like what it is, but it is like toxic though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like it's like
course.
no one
Well,
can
and it's-
flourish when they're like, it's like a fucking rat's nest in a way, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, and
Depression.
this definitely feels like such a 70s film. And like I'm actually like tickled pink that we've been watching so many films from the 70s, because I kind of like I have a decent grasp, but actually starting to watch more films, it's really cool to see the filmmaking and like how it really is just such a new style. Like it truly changed everything. Like it's cool because this is a period piece, and that's what Peter does a lot of these.
Well,
or
yeah.
at least, you know, he's done, you know.
I love you
a
keep
couple
calling
different
him
movies.
Peter like he's your fucking, like you know
Well,
him.
I don't know, but Bondanovich. I don't know how to say his last name.
I don't know. Bogdanovich? I don't know.
John Bondanovich. So, anyways, Peter's just easier to say, but but it feels so well written.
Yeah.
Even though there's so little dialogue in this movie. As I was like watching it, I'm like, God, that's how come it feels so real too. Is like there's such little dialogue, but then when they talk, it's serviceable. They get their information across, and then it's kind of being with each other.
Wow.
And like,
and the
you know,
dialogue,
just the facial expressions and everything, and it's really well written. Like when they do a lot of like explaining what happened in another scene, and I feel like it's like budgetary, but it's just done so well that like I don't feel like it takes away from the movie at all. I feel like it's meant to be. That's how
100%. Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well, like, because that's a good point. Because like, some of the monologues from like the older people in town, like you realize it only does it on them when they're like kind of imparting knowledge. It does it on the waitress, and it does it on Sam when they're like by the lake, and he's like teaching them how to roll a cigarette. But it's like, it does the slow push in, but it's like they're telling a story that's like just about their youth, and it's like reminiscent, but it's like, it is kind of like allegory for like their whole life situation. Because then it's like, you know, Sam's story, you find out it's like he had love, and it's like about his relationship, and it's like they were married, and then later you find out that it's JC's mom was the girl, and all this stuff, and it's great because it's like you only have those moments with like that push in on the grown-ups when they're like reminiscing to the next generation. And that's what's so good. It's like, this is a movie made in the 70s, and this is one of my favorite things about old Pete is my buddy Pete. He makes movies, because same with Paper Moon. It's like Paper Moon was also made in the 70s, but it took place in the 30s, and it was shot like a 30s movie kind of, but like with some modern stuff. Same with this movie. This movie, like you mentioned, the lighting, which is incredible. A lot of it's very old school 50s, but with like a lot of modern tricks, modern by 70s standards, right? And like a lot of modern tricks and extremely modern storytelling. Like obviously this movie is like very sexually charged, and that obviously that's not 50s, but it's like what
I know,
is
I'm
really
curious.
going on.
Oh yeah, I forgot to look up when the book. But I just wanted to say something real quick. This is crazy. Ben Johnson won the Academy Award for this film, and he has won the Academy Award for the least amount of screen time. He was only in the movie for 9 minutes.
What?
And he won an Academy Award for
Who?
best supporting actor.
The Sam? Is that
yeah,
who?
Sam the Lion, Ben
Sam
Johnson.
the Lion, man. That's
Yeah, Sam
well,
the Lion.
He was incredible.
Dude. he was amazing. That scene when they are fishing, like that really is that's beautiful. That's such a well written.
But it's like that's the whole thing about this movie, dude. It's so like melancholic because it's like that scene is such a sweet moment, but it's also so bittersweet, especially later when he dies. And it's like that other dude is just explaining about how he died and he shouldn't have given all the shit away. And it's just on Sonny. It never cuts away from him, and he's just sitting on the curb, just like staring off into space, processing it. It's amazing. But I don't know. I want to watch more old Pete Bogdanovich's movies because, like, the way he does that, because that's one thing I really liked about Paper Moon is like it was made in the 70s, but it felt like kind of a 30s movie, but with like more sophisticated writing and the more like modern conveniences in the filmmaking. But he still like is not only paying homage to the time period through like just having a story set in that time period, but like to the filmmaking era also, which I really like because it's like it would catch me off guard in this movie if this movie was shot like a traditional 70s movie in color, handheld shit, you know what I mean? It would not have worked. Right. And it's like all the sex in this movie, which I wasn't kind of prepared for how sexual this movie was, but every time something super sexy would happen, it feels like a 50s movie. I would be like sort of shocked because you don't see that in those kind of movies when it's like that she walks up to that guy after at the clubhouse or whatever, he just grabs her by the pussy, and I know I'm like what. And everyone's just hanging with their dongs out. I'm like, what is happening, man? Like, it's shocking.
It is amazing to be like, I feel like that. I think that is why it feels so accurate to me. Where I'm like, they're teenagers, dude. Like people have been fucking people
don't
forever.
Change, man.
And like when you're in a small town, there's literally nothing to do but hump. I mean, that's they're like, and it's like it's wild because it's like it's so woven in to the like social norm of courting / like it's kind of that's what's so cool about her like purity and her virginity that she wants to keep, yet she feels ashamed being a virgin this long, you know. And when she meets that dude, the country club dude, and he's like, well, when you've been with somebody, let me know. Like it's kind of wild. Like he's like, oh, you're a virgin? That's a shame. Like, you know, let me know. And she like it just like it breaks her down, and that it's so wild how you're like, oh my god, like these. It's like that's why I'm like this feels so realistic. Like it's wild to watch a movie in the 50s that is during the like, you know, like Hays Code era where you're like
it's like such puritanical kind of but it's like obviously that's not how real life is or ever really was.
Ever it has never been that way. No, like, there's like sexuality and sex has been like fucking everything always.
Well, that's what's what's so relatable is because it's like this movie was filmed in the 70s about teenagers in the 50s. But it's like we went to high school in the early 2000s and like but it felt so real to me and it's still really real. Connected. Like I was still really invested and can like connect to these characters and their situations. And that's how you know shit is timeless, man. Like they're tapping into something that's not like, hey, remember when? Because it's like I feel like a lot of movies try to do like a remember when? And it's just such a cheap, like that's where the cheap like fucking nostalgia grabs come from, especially these days. But it's like they're not really saying anything about the nature of like youth or whatever it is about that era. Because it's like, you know, there's obviously some callbacks to like some movies from the 50s, and it's like Hank Williams is playing on the radio constantly, and like.
Well, I was gonna say.
So
the
Phil's
soundtrack
50
was
great.
Was amazing.
Yeah,
dude, the sound like it's wild too because it's so accurate. Like no one. These are poor people with fucking radios. They got a jukebox and a radio, and that is like that's the entertainment they live in. That's the like when they're at the dance, and it's just kind of like the Christmas party and stuff too, and like people are like dancing and they're you know they're having a good time.
The band.
It's like,
just the band playing,
yeah.
you know, like.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
This movie's great.
The more I talk about it too, the more I even like it because it's like, I really liked it a lot while watching it, but like now I'm like, God, yeah, it's like this is a good one. I'm really glad we ended up watching it because it's like, even though I've known about it all this time, and it's like I don't know if I ever would have gotten around to it, and so again, that's why part of the reason why the film club is so good. But it's like,
well, and that's I think it's relatable, so that's why I like it. Do you know? Have you ever seen The White Ribbon? I think I might have mentioned this a long time ago.
no, that's on my list too.
Yeah,
because you and David, you and David were talking about White Ribbon.
Or something Haneke or whatever, the director.
Oh, is it Haneke? Because I've watched quite a bit of Haneke, but not The White Ribbon.
Right. Yeah, White Ribbon is White Ribbon like that. I feel like it's the exact same movie where it's that style where like it feels like it was made in the 30s, like but it's modern. It's super modern. And it's black and white, and so I'm like, let's do a black and white month
because we talked about
we
talked about The Artist too, which is a silent film that was made in the 2010s, which I've also never seen.
Oh, really?
I've never seen The Artist, but I want.
Lot.
Yeah, I remember, and but it was one of those ones where it's like, oh, cool, I really got to see that. But then the fucking arrow of time keeps marching on, man.
Yeah,
and it's just,
right.
It's hard to keep up, and that's why I'm so glad we've been kind of watching these older movies, because even though we watch more older movies than like your regular person probably, but it's like, you know, just because our age, like we've been into film, so like ever since we've been into film, like we've kind of watched a lot of contemporary movies, but we still have to keep going back and checking stuff out. So it's like, I'll talk to you about it after this, but I'm like, we should do like 60s month next month or something, like, you know what I mean, something like that, just get the vibe. 60s or 70s, something. But anyway, I know it's like jumping the gun, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, do you know what was your favorite part? Like, I don't know. Like, what part? Maybe not favorite, but like, what part hit you?
God, that's
the
so
hardest.
Hard. I know, right? It hit me. Yeah, it hit me the hardest. It's like there are so many good little lines. Like something I really enjoyed is the fucking it's the pure acting, and it's so simple. But like when he flips his hat back. And like his like facial expressions are amazing. Like, and it just like it's so cool because it like I'm so happy that no one had to really go through. I mean, unfortunately, the women had to go through a lot of shit in this movie. But Sonny as a character, his breaking point is just life, like life moving on. Like when Billy dies, that breaks him. And he wants to escape, but he can't leave town. So yeah, like clearly that he has the hold on him, and just like that tears at your heartstrings. But it's just the subtle acting that he does whenever he's with Billy, and it shows the kind-heartedness. And I'm glad that he didn't get I'm glad there wasn't he didn't have to kill somebody or in the pool hall, or he didn't have to do I don't know. They never really, there is no true antagonist in this film, which is awesome. Kind of just the town,
yeah,
themselves, kind of that's that for I guess JC, it's
her mom,
her mom, but then also
just her pressures, because it's
really a comment on the sexual pressure that she goes under.
Well, yeah, it's because it's as teenagers and stuff, it's it does do a really good job capturing the pressures of it, because it's I mean, when I lost my fucking virginity. It wasn't my idea, really. It was literally my friends were like, "Hey, here's a rubber,
right, yeah. Social pressure,
go, yeah. And it's interesting because it's it is the kind of shit that captures it. JC's so, because of her mom and everything her mom's saying, is so caught up in how important, because when you're young, that seems so important. It's so critical, and it's that's what I like so much about Sonny, because JC's always trying to chase something. Dwayne is trying to possess what he's got, you know what I mean, and trying to just be this is it. I'm gonna marry her.
Dwayne thinks he deserves more than he's got.
Correct. And Sonny just wants someone to love him, man. He just wants, and that's why it's so fucking sad, because it's he's just trying to find a connection. He doesn't really know what he wants. He's one of those kind of characters in a movie where it's just shit happens to him, and he's trying to figure it out, and he's kind of a blank slate, and it's he obviously sucks at sports to the point where it's the whole start of the movie is well, you learned the tackle, fucker. And then at the end, they're like, he's watching the football team, and he's like, yeah, we finally got a good team. And he's like, yeah, not when you played, though, but we've certainly come around. He's like, when was it you played? And he's like, last year. And he's like, oh, last year? Yeah, well, we've gotten better since then. Like,
that's something I actually like. I liked a lot in this movie is a lot of people kept saying, oh, it felt like it's been longer than that.
Yeah.
Like it kind of just like life moves so fast that you're just kind of like, oh, wow, it's only been a year. And you're like, it feels like it's been 10. Like,
that's what it does such a good job capturing the small town vibe too, because it's like in the moment, it feels so slow and boring. Like you're there, like it does really pace itself out. Like this movie's over 2 hours, and there are scenes where it's just like really kind of paced out. It's kind of like there's not a lot going on. They're just hanging out in the pool hall or doing whatever. They're just driving in the truck. And those are the moments like while you're living them, you're like, this is small town life is so boring. But then when you're looking back on it, you're like, yeah, that flew. Because it's like you're only remembering the beats, man. And that's what's also so true to life.
And I think this movie's hit me a lot different now, like as I'm older. This is definitely, and I think that's what's great. Is like it's such a good just coming of age movies do that really well. Like they make you like, I probably felt more like I was in Sonny's position when I was younger, in that like kind of that angst that you feel, and that love that you want. But now it's like I'm older and I'm like, oh, I kind of like relate with Sam a little bit, where it's like, he's just kind of like, oh, these kids got like a lot of life left to live, and like, he likes them, and he's just. He does. He feels like the father figure.
He knows when they got a good
really
heart,
well.
and that's what's so good. He's like, these kids, they make mistakes and they do fucked up shit, but it's like, and I think that's why he's like so with Sonny, and he sees how he is with Billy and stuff, and he's like, this kid's got a good heart. Like these kids, they're not bad, because it's like this movie does do a little bit of the every generation thinks the next generation is like fucking hellions and the world's gonna end and what's wrong with kids today. And it's like, people in the 50s thought about that about kids in the 50s. People in the 70s thought about that. It's like that's a tale as old as fucking civilization. Older generations complaining about the wildness of younger generations. And so it was nice because like Sam and the fucking, forget the chick's name, but the lady in the diner, they were like the only ones that really kind of got it too. They're like, these kids need a break, man. Like they need an adult to just kind of like not be on their ass about stuff and like just kind of give them a break. And so it's like when Sam just gives them the money to go to Mexico, it's just like, and he just gives them that look too. Like they're just sitting there waiting for him, and they're like, he's like, all right, well, you guys don't
oh my God,
catch the clap and all that or whatever. And they're just like, all
that's
right,
a good
thanks.
scene when he just like, you can almost tell that like he knows he's going to die. It's kind of that like, after he, when they get back and they find out that he died, you're kind of like, oh man, that like them driving away, and it just that like medium shot on him, and they just hold it for a minute, and it like, God, it's so impactful, and yet like nothing really happens. And I think that's why we love this movie so much, and we love First Cow. Like that's the reason. It's like that style.
It's because
like it's just good filmmaking.
Well, yeah, it's something that you can kind of only capture with film too. It's like this. Right. It's hard, as much as I love like a good sprawling novel, and like, but it's like it's hard to capture those moments, those longing moments. It's like the shot when fucking Sonny, there's so many, the cinematography in this movie is incredible, but Sonny's standing in the middle of the road and he's just like watching Dwayne drive off and know that that's just an end of his life. And it's like the framing, the ultra wide shot of that, and of him just being like alone, stranded by like these dying monoliths of these buildings with like the Texaco sign like broken, and like it's all just like
Texaco sign.
He's just like there, and it's like that's just shit that like really only exists in film. It's like to really capture these like, and I think that's why we like movies like this so much, is because it really takes its time to like let things land and show you how people are feeling in a way that's not like, oh, I need a movie that goes 100 miles a minute and is about fucking superheroes saving the universe. It's like, no, this is about fucking someone just trying to reconcile with their life and failing. You know what I mean? And like knowing that it's like he's so young and has so much potential that it's just like he could, like, because he does have a good heart. And it's like he could be a better man. And it's just like, but like, he's not gonna. And that's like what's so hard about it, man. Like that's what hits me so hard is because it's like, and it's acted so well. Everyone's acted so well that I feel like I know these people, and so that's why it hits and even harder.
Well, it's crazy, and like that's I swear I call her something different every time. JC.
Pretty sure it's JC. Yeah.
That actress, that was the first movie she's ever been in. She was a model, and they saw her on the cover of a magazine and went, "I like her smile," and they like brought her in, and she was she got to pick her character, and then they were all like, "Oh, the nude scenes, you don't have to do it," but then like everyone was like super supportive around her. But that, I want to say, my least favorite scene is the pool scene where she gets naked, for the fact that they all like this is totally just like in universe. They invited her there, and then they're like, "Oh, you have to strip on the diving board." And I'm like, this is all fun and games. Everyone's stripped. I've skinny dipped. It's great. It's super fun. But that like ritual where you have to do it at the diving board, and then everyone was dead silent. It's good. It's effective filmmaking because I was so uncomfortable the whole time of just being like, oh god, this is like, it's like, it just so like creepy and weird and like kind of like sad too. Like she's embarrassed and
it's like
I just was like, this is so. She's like stripping her innocence.
It's like a humiliation too, because it's like I thought it was a pretty pivotal point for her character because like it really did feel like not only of like, oh, this is this fun, like, crazy teenager sex thing, and that's the more of the pressure for sex for her. Very uncomfortable, and it's like, the stripping of her innocence, if you will, or whatever. But, like, also, it's just like, these are the rich kids that are not part of the town. Like, it felt like this weird ritual, like, she wanted to be part of the club. Like, she's better than Dwayne
they're not
and
her
Sonny.
Peers.
Yeah, she's like, she went with Lester because he's rich, and they know people at the country club, and so it's like, they go here, and it's like, this isn't her crew, but she's like, she wants to impress them. And so she doesn't, like, she kind of knows some of them, but, like, that's what makes it even more uncomfortable because, they're just staring at her. And it just, like, pans around the room, and they're all just, like, naked, sitting there watching her. Yeah. And then there's that one little kid just swimming underneath her with his fucking dong hanging out.
Yeah, I know. He's like, that's my little brother. And it's just like,
don't worry about him. And he's just like.
That whole scenario. Yeah. Like, yeah. And, like, it's comical in a sense too. Like the whole, like a lot of sexuality in this, like it feels innocent, but kind of like, it captures such a mood.
It feels clumsy, like a teenager would.
Right.
Like
clumsy,
when Sonny is fucking making out with his girlfriend at the beginning of the movie, and she just like pulls her tits out, which shocked me because again, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. Right. No, same.
And he's just like filling her tits up. And like goes to for her crotch, and she's like, "How's that for an anniversary?" And then they get in an argument. He's like, but he's just like, it's not even a real argument. He's just like, he doesn't have it in him. He's just defeated. He's like, you know what? If you're gonna give me shit, then it's not even worth it. It's like this isn't even worth it, and it just like blows up. But I'm like, even that just felt like, all right, here's my boobie. Like it's just like clumsy and weird and real and awkward, which is like the perfect feeling if you're making a coming of age movie about like your sexuality and like the pressures of it and like the small town vibes and trying to be all this. Anyway,
what was your favorite scene? We skipped over yours.
Oh, God, I don't even know. Like honestly,
I loved how like dystopian the beginning felt. Like for a minute, I was like, is this gonna be like a future movie? Like a weird
right?
Like
it's like post-apocalyptic.
You noticed how like yeah, it did. It felt like that. Like
the town is so
like,
desolate. Yeah.
Or like in yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I honestly think that scene with Sam and them on the riverbanks. No. Sam's telling him a story, and it's like he, especially after
JC's mom, like it's just
especially
so good. Yeah.
after because that's the scene that got him his Oscar. Then, if he won it for sure, because he's literally he's what really hit me is like, he runs into his dad earlier in the movie, and the body language of it is just so uncomfortable. Like there's no love, and it's just like when he's like there with Sam, it feels real, and Sam's like, hey, you want some of this cigarette? And he gives it to him, and he's having a hard time. He's like, here, let me help you. And he shows him how to roll this cigarette, and it's like later in the movie when he's rolling the cigarette too, it's like he doesn't say anything,
but he does it exactly
like him.
Dude.
But
that's so
and it's
good.
like the slow zoom on his face, and he's just like telling the story, and he's like, I bet you she still has that silver dollar, and all that. And I'm just like, fuck, man. And then like he dies like a couple scenes later, and it's like, it is such a gut punch. And like a lesser movie would have a big dramatic scene of him dying so that you're like, see it, but like he just dies off camera. And
Dude, that's so good.
You feel
so effective.
The void of his character to the point where the town is closed.
Dude. No, I got chills when it's just that like shot of the horizon line and it's just got the one stoplight.
Yeah.
Like it's literally
he's just
like
staring
a one
at it.
stoplight down.
Dude,
he's just looking at it and like it's just flashing and you're like, oh my god. Like and the town's like desolate now. Like it's crazy.
That's what hurts is because it's like Sonny knows in his bones that like, he's like, this is a one stoplight town. And like even earlier on, he's like, this is what I get for rooting for the home team. And they're like, get a better hometown. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, there's so many things like that too, where it's just like, he knows, but he just like doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't have like the interest or the training or anything to go out in the world. Like the know-how, he's saddled with it, man. It's brutal. Very good though. If you haven't noticed, I quite like this movie. So,
I thought it was great.
Do you have a money minute? And I'll see if we got a Reddit or so.
Yeah, I mean it did phenomenally box office wise. It was like it was around 1.3 mil to make it, which 100% tracks. I mean it looks like we built the sets. Like they're like unless they use an actual like
the
they
pool
use, like,
hall for sure
location.
is like
right. It's like they use on set locations. Like they actually went to some small town. I can't even remember. It wasn't Texas, but like Arizona or something. And they brought everyone there to shoot the movie together. So it's kind of like that's why it feels so lived in, and that's such a classic way to make such a great movie. Mm-hmm. It's like you get your whole cast together, and like the whole time I was watching this, it's like I really like The Outsiders, but I just felt like God, this is such a good like I recommended this to all the younger kids at my work because I was like, it's a great coming of age film. It does such a good job. But anyways, 1.3 mil, and then it grossed 29 million. So
that's great in the 70s. That's great.
The box office, dude, people were seeing movies, man.
I know, that's nice. And it's like this kind of movie too. It's like I feel like this kind of movie was made today. Like I don't know what the most recent kind of this movie is. Like like 8th grade by like Bo Burnham's 8th grade or something. But even then it was like I don't know. Like obviously it's different generations and like stuff. But it's like I just feel like it wouldn't do. Like this is not the movie that puts meat in the seats.
I'm trying to think like, oh, well, of course that's what's wild. It's like, it is. Yeah, there's something to be said. Like, what kind of movies we were watching in the 70s, and like, I guess they're all the same. It's like we were watching superhero movies and action movies and stuff too. But
true. But
I just feel like the drama just doesn't.
Well, just like the time period, it's like I do feel like our attention span, like. I would recommend this movie to a lot of people, but I feel like it would be so hard to get any of my friends to watch it because, I mean, you and we have terrible attention spans also, but it's like, and it is sometimes a fucking struggle to sit down and like turn your phone off and watch a movie, and I get that, and it's like I want to do that enough that I put the like an effort into paying attention and watching a film that it's like it would be hard to recommend this just because it's like I know so many people would struggle to just like get engrossed in something that is seemingly so slow, but it's like it's just like it's not slow at all. This is wet, baby. It's wet.
Yeah, this is wet. Yeah, this film is wet. Dude.
But like,
oh my god,
I don't know. I wish more people would because it is like one of those ones like just like First Cow. We're always gonna fucking suck off First Cow, where it's just
First
like
Cow's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
It's like stop and smell the roses, man. Like you know what I mean? Like just take a breath from life for a second.
Do you know why? Do you know why I like this movie? Because it's edgy, it's sad, it's depressing.
It is.
Like that's what I want. I want like a realism with my movies. I don't want the Feeblemans. I don't care. I don't want anyone to be happy.
It's sneaky about it though, kind of, because it's like I mean, if you're paying attention, obviously it's not. It's very obviously quite devastating, but like it's sneaky in the way that it's like just looking at it, it doesn't seem like such a sad movie necessarily, other than The Last Picture Show is like the last of anything is kind of foreboding in some way.
I know,
but like you look at it and it looks like a bright 50s style movie, which all those movies of that era, obviously not all. I mean, we just watched Sunset Boulevard, which was made in 1950, but like so many movies of that era are just like, about how great everything is. You know what I mean? Or if it's like scandalous, it's like to a point of like being thrilling. Like, here it is. It's never about the dullness. And like this movie, the dullness of their lives like has a weight that somehow is incredibly interesting and engrossing as a film, you know? Anyway. So before we move it on,
Reddit?
I got one. I bet you could guess from our good friend Clones Are People Too. Says, first watch, I didn't know too much about this, and while I knew of it, it wasn't too high on my must-see list. I was expecting something like Dazed and Confused, but 30 years older. And I thought that at first too, and then it kept evolving, and I'm like, this movie's. I mean, as much as I love my man Linklater, it's like this movie's 10 times better than Dazed and Confused. Anyway,
of course, yeah.
He goes on to say, that's just my opinion. He goes on to say, after watching it, I think I liked it. It took me about 30 minutes to get into it, but once I started figuring out who was who, I warmed up to it. It had the raw energy of Clerks at times and felt like a documentary in parts. I think there was a lot going on with character dynamics, and it had a lot to say about the death of the idyllic 50s and the coming of the sexual revolution. I did not expect so much sex in this. Even going into it as a high school drama, I was not prepared. The film does such a great job of setting itself in the 50s, especially with the Hank Williams soundtrack. It feels like a 50s movie, and so the sex-driven plot feels out of place in a good way. I'm glad he said that, because that's 100% how I was feeling, too. I was always caught off guard.
Right.
He said, and then he goes on, overall, glad to see, probably won't watch it again. 7.5 out of 10. Side note, in my headcanon, Dwayne is obviously the dude. If you like this, I recommend watching Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Dude, the great movie, yeah.
I've never seen it. It's a 60s movie, so...
No, it's awesome. It's definitely, it's got that, like...
That's been on my
it's
list
a lot
for
of,
a
like,
long time,
biting commentary and definitely tit for tat. Like, the dialogue in that movie is amazing. Like, that, where, like, this film has really good dialogue, but it's so subtle. They're, like, barely... Each person says like 100 lines, maybe max. Like it's so minimal dialogue, but it's so effective. Every single word is needed. It's perfect.
Dwayne came back from Korea and was just like the dude, just became a stoner.
Yeah,
I like Jeff Bridges, man. Like I do feel like I missed an era. I want to know what he's up to, because it was like obviously most of us of our generation got exposed to him from Big Lebowski, but it's like. Even more recently, like Crazy Heart that he was in, where he's like that country western with Maggie Gyllenhaal. He was great. Like
of
Jeff
course.
Bridges.
Doesn't he play all his own music?
Yeah, I think so. He's a great actor, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he is as a human being. Who knows? But he's an old white man, so I don't want to get too on board. But anyway.
Yeah, sure. But it's risky. It's risky.
It is risky. Yeah.
Climate,
so that's Last Picture Show. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I mean, if you made it this far without having seen it, God bless you for sticking with us for an hour.
Turn this off and flip on your
check it out,
your old television box.
I bet it's on Freevee or something. You know, I could see it being just popping up.
I'm sure it's somewhere around there. Yeah.
So, good movie. We are, I didn't 100% check. So, we got another pool movie next week. It's gonna be Palm Springs.
That's fun.
Recent Andy Samberg Groundhog Day style movie. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
You like it?
I'm excited. Yeah, I like it. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty
definitely,
good.
We're pivoting pretty hard.
It's a hard pivot
away from like the last two films that we watched, that are quote unquote classics. Yeah. We're going to just kind of contemporary fun.
Different, totally. But that's the thing. It's like every kind of movie. Like it follows Sunset Boulevard. Last Picture Show, like they are all very different kinds of movies. Even though, the last two are like black and white classics, they could not be more different as far as their style.
Oh, right.
But like,
of course,
and so like a more recent, lighthearted kind of comedy. I'm interested, and that's one my wife might watch with me. I tried to get her to watch Last Picture Show with me, but when she found out I was in black and white, she's a fucking hater. So she's like, "Oh, I don't want to watch it." And I'm like, "Get woman." Anyway, so. Thanks for listening. If you're go to the Reddit, vote on the movies. Everyone does vote. Thank you.
Reddit. You can go to YouTube and let us know. Yeah, please.
If you're on the YouTube, you could see my fucking tan lines and because it is very hot here. So
we got some more.
Yeah. So check it out. Check out the Patreon. We got some stickers, and then we got a after show coming up right after this. That's gonna be for our Patrons, a fucking $1 or $2 a month. You can go listen to that.
I know it's Beautiful commentary.
We're gonna
on
talk
our
about
life.
some movies we've seen recently, shit we want to see. So I got a couple comments from Sunset Boulevard that didn't make last week's podcast. That'll be there, so check it out. Yep, check it out. So to all you regular folks, goodbye. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Good night.